Processing resources are the annotation tools that operate on unstructured text within the documents. This module describes processing resources and how to create them. Processing resources are created from plugins which allows processing resources to be made available in a Gate Developer session. They can then be used to create an instance of that processing resource for use in a particular task. Gate Developer allows you to create many instances of a single processing resource. For this tutorial segment, we'll review how to load a processing resource and then create an instance of it. To add a processing resource, right-click on Processing Resources and then select New. The displayed list includes the processing resources available to you. So if we want to create an instance of the ANI nominal coreferencer, we click on that entry. The Parameters dialog appears where you can set initialization parameters. These parameters cannot generally be changed later. As no entry is required, we click OK. A new instance of that processing resource is now displayed under the Processing Resources heading. When a resource is listed here, it is now available to be added to a processing application, as we'll see later in this tutorial. Note that Gate adds a unique identifier to the instance name automatically. You can double-click on the instance to see the initialization parameters for this resource that you chose when you created it. You can add several instances of any available processing resource using this method. In the Resources pane, it does not matter what order these resources are in. You will arrange them in a specific order when you add them to a processing application, as we will see later. To learn more on each of these resources, right-click the resource and choose Help from the pop-up menu. Gate Developer also allows you to add a predefined set of commonly used processing resources all at once. This collection of processing resources is called ANI. Click on the Load ANI System button in the second position of the toolbar at the top of the Gate window, and in the dialog box, select With Defaults. A message box appears saying that resources are loading. As the resources load, they appear in the Resources pane. ANI not only loads a set of processing resources, it also automatically creates a processing application. The standard distribution of Gate Developer comes with many more processing resources than we've seen so far. You can change the processing resources available using the Manage Creole Plugins dialog. Gate's plugin-based architecture separates processing components from document-based resources and helps to minimize memory usage. To see these plugins, go to File on the menu bar and select Manage Creole Plugins. The list of available Creole repositories appears. Each resource listed on the left is actually a package of processing resources. Some packages contain only one processing resource. Others contain several. You can explore the list of available resources, but we won't change anything in this session. We will cover Creole resources in more depth in an advanced training module. Each processing resource has two sets of parameters, those that are set up at runtime and those set up at initialization. The initialization parameters of most processing resources can only be set when the processing resource is created. However, in some special processing resources, you can change initialization parameters after creation. To see the difference, double-click on the ANI English Tokenizer listed under Processing Resources in the Resource pane. In the Display pane, three initialization parameters appear. You'll see that you cannot change any of these parameters. Now, double-click on the ANI Gazetteer to display its initialization parameters. Gate Developer includes a special gazetteer editor called Gaze, which allows you to change the list of entities or add new ones. We'll cover the usage of Gaze in an advanced tutorial. For now, we'll hide the gazetteer and the tokenizer from the display pane. The ANI Gazetteer is one of the few processing resources in which you can change initialization parameters after creation. Most processing resources also have runtime parameters that may change from session to session. In this module, we have seen what Creole resources are, how to load them into Gate Developer, and create instances of them in the processing resources. We touch briefly upon initialization and runtime parameters and the ANI application.